Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Dr. Glenn Vo, and welcome to another episode of the Dr. Entrepreneur Podcast. My next guest does not need an introduction. She has helped so many people all across the world, help them create better courses, help them become better business people. But she is also the founder of Funnel Gorgeous. She's the founder of the Digital Insiders Mastermind. She's created amazing communities such as Create Your Laptop Life and Marketer's Heart. She is one of my mentors. She is one of my coaches, and she's also a friend. Welcome, Julie Stoian. Julie, what's up?
Oh my gosh, thank you for that lovely intro.
Well,
I'm so glad to be here.
I'm sure I left out a whole bunch of stuff because, again, there's so many things there, but I'm so excited to have you here. And I always like to start off with a compliment with all my guests. And I want to give you a compliment. There's so many amazing things you do. But the one thing that I've always appreciated about Julie as a coach and as a mentor is that she never tells me, I told you so. Never does that. She'll give me some great advice. She'll give me some great strategy. And like a rebellious kid, I always kind of do my own thing. And then it doesn't work. And I come back and I say, hey, it didn't work. And you're like, you never say, I told you so. You're just like, hey, can you just go over those things we talked about? And it always works out. So Julie, I wanted to give you that compliment because I so appreciate that.
Thank you. Yeah. Sometimes people are different types of learners. Some people just need to go experience it and then learn from that.
Right. Exactly. So people who have been following you, they see all these amazing things. They see Funnel Gorgeous, CFG Society, they see the Mastermind, they see all your content, but they don't realize that there was a beginning. So talk about it. Give us the short version, right? Because that could be a whole podcast in itself, right?
Yeah.
The history of your whole entrepreneurial career. But what pushed you to become an entrepreneur and to kind of get on this road to creating what you have today?
Yeah, purely by accident and by necessity. I never thought of myself as an entrepreneur. I'm not your classic entrepreneurial personality type, but I was a stay-at-home mom driving myself bananas being home with 3 little kids. And so my outlet was writing. And I started a blog all the way back in 2007. And people ask, how do you write so much and create so much content? I said, 5 years of talking about little kids on a mom blog will really get that habit going for you if you want to try that. It's not exactly the easy route. And I think I officially started a business in 2012. And that was because my 3 little kids finally went off to school. And I was like, crap, I got to get a job. But I loved writing and I had been doing it and I was good at this blogging thing. And so I just kind of dove in through the blogging world, then advanced to the web design world, agency world, and then dipped my, toes in coaching and courses. And so it's been since 2012. So I'm on this is my 10th year in business officially. And so there is a lot under the ocean, when you see the iceberg and you see, oh, look at what she's built. But there was a lot of history back there for sure.
And everyone always thinks that, hey, you just you have this special advantage, you have this special privilege, you have, obviously you're talented, but you have this natural talent and that's why you can do it and no one else can. But they don't realize that there was a lot of work. There was a lot of doubt. There was a lot of failure. There was a lot of anxiety. All those things led up to what you have today.
A lot of practice and a lot of, I said it was purely by accident. I needed money because of my life situation that I was in. I was married and then I was getting divorced and I was pregnant and there was just all this drama. And so I didn't have time to overthink. I didn't have time to worry about failure. It was just, I had to just take action and I had to take it quickly. And that worked to my advantage because when you fail fast, it also means you succeed fast. Yeah. And so the faster you fail, the faster you're going to not fail. And so sometimes avoiding that feeling prolongs your journey to where you want to go.
No, I love that. That's an amazing lesson there because again, so many times people want the perfect situation, right? They want things to be perfect. I mean, I'm guilty of that as well, right? Just sending you messages all the time. Hey, I'm trying to tweak, and a lot of times done is better than perfect. So I love that there. Now, you do have something that's coming up, and it's something that I'm really excited about, and it's the Marketer's Heart event. Talk about that event. Talk about what what was the idea behind creating an event, and what can attendees expect from it?
Yeah, so Marketer's Heart event is designed to be a business and marketing conference where you can come together with people who are committed to building their business in alignment with who they are, with their ethics, with integrity, and just like thinking about your business as a legacy, not just like the money that you make, but the messaging that you put out there on social media. And so every Marketer's Heart event has a very high focus on marketing, obviously, from an organic strategy, like how you communicate, what skills you need, what things you want to put out there so you don't have to be introduced twice. And so we talk a lot about traffic and growing your audience and things like that. But we also weave in, the alignment piece of, maybe you don't want to build a $3 million business. Maybe you want a lifestyle business that makes $200,000 a year. And so it's highly tactical and strategic. Lots of speakers come to give. You're actually speaking at the event. So excited to hear you speak. Excited. And growing and monetizing Facebook groups. And so you can come virtually or you can come in person. This year it's at Disney World. It's going to be insane. And so it's a 3-day event. And I would say that if you do not come away from that event inspired and with things done, like actual plans done and things figured out, like you will, I promise. I can guarantee that. We actually have someone who's going to be taking copious notes on every presentation and giving it to every single attendee so that they can carry all of that, plus a private podcast of all the trainings, the teachings, the recordings. So it is definitely worth the time and energy to get there.
Well, I definitely wanted to bring that up because I had to literally harass one of Julie's business partners because, the event is sold out. And I said, Kathy, please, I need some tickets. I've been bugging you about this. And she's like, okay, let me see if I can scratch up some tickets. And so I got 2 in-person tickets, 3 virtual tickets. And guys, I'm so excited about this event. And again, what Julie was just saying there, you were going to come away with so much knowledge there. So I'm going to do a little contest. We'll put it in the show notes, but just to let everyone who's listening right now, I have 5 tickets. I'm going to hook someone up and they're going to come and listen to Julie and listen to me and so many other great speakers. Just want to throw out there. Okay, so I'm super excited about that. And also the fact that it's Disney, I forgot to mention that in the introduction that Julie's also an expert in almost everything Disney. So I have to throw it out there. I definitely 10,000 hours, like Disney World strategy is my jam, like on the side. So I'm going to veer off a little off topic. Again, sure. We were going to talk about a few things, but I want to ask you this. Okay, so I want your favorite. I mean, it's just like picking your favorite child, right? So your favorite Disney film, but also give me the most underrated Disney film, and then I'll give you mine. So favorite Disney film. I know there's so many genres, right? We got to break it down, right? But just the first thing that comes to your head, your favorite Disney film, and then also the most underrated Disney film.
I feel like I should have been prepared for this question.
Well, I wanted an authentic response, so that's why I didn't get
Okay. So here's the thing. I had a very visceral reaction to both Tangled and Moana. And I think with Tangled, and that's why I have a hard time with Tangled, her sort of conflict over being the good girl versus the adventure and taking risk and just her constant doing what her mom says versus doing what her heart is telling her, I think is something that a lot of us relate to. I know for myself, I'm always what's expected of me versus what I really want in my heart of hearts. And so I've always been attracted to that film. And then Moana is also one of my favorites just because of the way that she was able to see the good in whatever that lady was who was the god who lost her heart. And, she was so brave to face that evil because she knew there was good there. And then watching her belief in that person crumble the exterior. I mean, man, yeah, it's just it's so powerful. So those are in my top 2 just for some of the life lessons.
And the music's amazing too, right?
Well, yeah.
I mean, you gotta throw that. And so what do you feel is the most underrated? People kind of overlook this film and you're this is amazing. People shouldn't be overlooking it. Disney film.
Underrated. I mean, I feel like the movie Inside Out, which is actually the movie that we're going to be showing at the event in one of the evenings. I don't know that people underrated it, but I don't think it's like one of the top movies. Like, it doesn't beat out Toy Story or any of those other Pixar films, but the lessons in Inside Out are pretty insane as far as just psychological wholeness. So I would say that's an underrated one that every adult should see that movie. It's not just for children.
Yeah, no, I love that. So I'm going to give you mine. So it's hard for me too, but I've always been a fan of Ratatouille. I love the message. I love the message that, you can take anybody, anyone can cook. So pretty much anyone can achieve these things if they believe in it. And it's just great, right? After watching, you just feel so good. And then it makes you hungry. I love food too. So we're going to eat that. And then
there's a new Ratatouille ride at Epcot.
There you go. I mean, that's another reason to come to the event as well. So underrated. There's not so much, there's some stories in there, but I just think it's so entertaining. Emperor's New Groove. People are like, they're like, is that the one with the llama and all that stuff? Yes. But if you haven't watched it, I think you need to watch it. It is so funny. I'm a fan of David Spade, so he's in there as well. So Emperor's New Groove is so underrated. People are like, did that even exist?
I know they don't remember it.
They don't remember it. Go check it out. It is so okay. So anyways, I had to veer off there because you're such a big Disney person. So we're gonna talk about. So you are like an amazing entrepreneur, and I can't have you get away without giving us some entrepreneur advice. So the next segment is the Big Entrepreneur 3. I ask all my guests this. The first question is, share a productivity tip for entrepreneurs, a good tip that you use that could help other entrepreneurs.
All right. So there is a superpower that a lot of entrepreneurs overlook. And it is the superpower of being a great ignorer. I don't think that's a word. But if you had any idea how many things I ignore and don't pay attention to, important things, urgent things, cool things, up and coming things that I probably should pay attention to, my ability to ignore that is what creates the level of focus that I need to get things done. And the thing is, I think that what people think is that they should ignore all the noise. And I'm like, no. Well, yeah, ignore the noise, but ignore some of the good stuff too. And they're like, wait, why? And I'm like, because there's literally not enough time in a day. If you want that book written, if you want that blog post out, if you want that podcast episode, you are going to have to ignore good things, not just noisy things, but good things too, to make that happen. And I think that mindset shift, and it doesn't mean ignore forever, but that mindset shift will change the way you focus your day. So I have this whole thing about sacred time, and sacred time is literally just time on your calendar that you control, time that nobody gets to interrupt. It's hard to find it when you have small children, especially in a pandemic. You're like, from midnight to 1 a.m. is my sacred time. You're like, great. But when you control that time, you will only be able to use that time if you are very, very good at ignoring both the noise and important things to focus on what you said you were going to get done in those 2 hours.
I love that. That's such an amazing advice, especially the important stuff, because then you're thinking like, okay, I need to just get rid of that stuff that doesn't matter. But you really need to just focus all your time on whatever you're doing. I love that advice. I definitely need to work on that in 2022 as well. Now, share a tool. It could be a digital tool, could be something you use in real life, but share a tool that's helped you as an entrepreneur, like an actual tool.
I have a love affair with Google Tasks. So I use a Google Calendar like probably most entrepreneurs do, but I actually, and this is where I differentiate between business project management and personal Julie management. So in business project management, you use Asana or Basecamp or Trello or whatever, and that's where like all of your, team stuff is happening. That's fine. But still, what you, Glenn, do on any given day, Basecamp isn't going to tell you what to do, but your calendar will. And so I have started taking my tasks for the day, my meetings, my reminders, everything, and it is on my calendar. And Google Tasks allows you to sync with like all your devices. People can add tasks. So Jess can add a task for me to do. It'll pop up on my calendar at a certain time of day that she knows I have availability. It has changed, like completely changed my productivity level using Google Tasks. Totally free tool.
Yeah,
It's
I
crazy.
love it. I love it. I can't imagine my life without Google Calendar or Google Tasks. I mean, back in the day, I had one of those little organizers, which I wrote stuff in the organizer and then I would just lose it, right? And then I didn't get it accomplished. So this is so much better. Okay, so there's another hard question, just like the Disney question earlier, okay? So I'm going to give you another hard question. You got to share with me your favorite either business book or self-help book, and then why is it your favorite?
Yeah, these questions came in yesterday, and I was like, "Oh man."
Well, I was gonna ask you these things because naturally I'm gonna figure out what it is. And
all right. Well, myself. Can I own up to something here?
You don't read. You read, so you can't say that.
God, I read, but I don't read much. I mean, I read business books, but I actually read books that have nothing to do with business. Like the amount of like nature, climate, gardening, like all spiritual books about God. Like that's what my nightstand is full of. Okay. I definitely read business books, but like I have been reading.
What's an influential book? What's a book that really touched you and you're like, okay, this is like one of these top 5 books for me. Could be anything.
All right, I'm going to give you 2. I have to give you 2. So the book Made to Stick was a business strategy book that really impacted me, but from a very tactical standpoint. It was like what is stuff that like sticks, like stuff that gets traction in the market. And so from like a very business tactical standpoint, Made to Stick is a great book. I think everybody should read that book. Okay. From just a philosophy of life, I'm going to let my geek flag fly here for a second. I'm reading a book called Overshoot, and it was written in the 80s, and it's all about how we build our civilizations and our society thinking that we have limitless resources when we don't, and we overshoot, and we build entire structural societal civilizations on this idea that resources are never going to run out. And that book is blowing my mind. He's going through all of civilization and talking about all of this, the idea of the carrying capacity of the earth and how we haven't like thought through. It's like causing a major shift in my thinking about life. Well, so there you have it.
Well, you know what? And I'm sure it's getting all the creative juices going and stuff like that. Overshoot. Okay, I definitely need to check that out. Okay, so we're going to shift.
So lame. The book is so lame. In the cover, it was written in the 80s. Like people are going to be like,
I love the 80s.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll definitely check that out. So we're going to shift again. We're going to talk about, learning from the past. And again, people always look at what you have today, right? What you have, what other entrepreneurs who are doing amazing things, what they have, but they don't realize that, hey, there's also setbacks. There was also mistakes. And, if you're like me, you probably made a lot of mistakes in the past to fill up a whole lifetime. But let's pick one mistake. Let's pick one mistake that you learned something valuable from. What can you share with us there?
This is a mistake I see a lot of people make. Shifting what you're doing because something didn't work, but your measurement for didn't work is off. So I'll give you the tangible example. People launch a course. It doesn't perform as they expect. The thing is, they don't spend a lot of time looking at their expectations and their benchmarks and if it was realistic to begin with. And so they think something's wrong with the course, or they think something's wrong with the funnel, and then they go change it, and then they change it again, and they change it again, and they change it again. And the whole problem the whole time was over here in your benchmarks and your expectations. I did this with a course. I had launched it. It was a $1,500 course. We were selling like crazy, and I thought that it wasn't. And so we shifted to a membership model for that course, which was the biggest mistake. And 2 months in, I had to shift it again. And I just made too many changes too quickly because I didn't have clear expectations. And that is one of the reasons why I think people need coaching and mentors and people helping, because you can't see clearly for yourself what you might be able to even see for others. And so I work a lot on that expectation management. And so that was a big mistake. I cut a lot of revenue off by changing my $1,500 course to a $99 a month membership. It was so dumb. I shouldn't have done it.
Well, when you were explaining that, I thought you were talking about me because we've been talking about something I'm doing. I was like, wait a minute. It was supposed to be her mistake, not my mistake there. But again, like when you were saying that, I was like, yes, even you've had those issues there. And again, that's another reason why you should have coaches and have mentors, because again, you save so much time, but also what Julie just said there, like, I just didn't see some of these things that she is seeing, and she's been there before, right? Again, again, another quick shout out to you. Okay. So if you can get into your DeLorean, right? Your time machine DeLorean, or if you can get in the hot tub time machine, if you can jump into one of those things, go back in time. Right. And you can pick any time you want to go back to, and you could go and talk to the younger Julie. What would you say to her?
It's not appropriate for this podcast.
let's do the PG-13 version. Let's do the PG-13 version.
Oh my goodness!
In any stage, you can go way back when you were a lot younger, or maybe like a few years ago. Who knows, right? But if you can go back in time, you pick a particular time, but what would you say to her? Other than, hey, you need to invest in Apple. You need to.
No, yeah, right.
Besides those things.
I would say figure out what you want and trust yourself. That would probably be what I would say. And I think the history, if I look back at all of the really like down moments of my life, they all boil down to the fact that I did not know what I wanted, or I let someone else influence what I wanted, and I didn't trust my gut. Yeah. And in fact, I spend thousands of dollars a month in personal development coaches, like more money than. And I'm very privileged to be able to do that. But that is ever since I've, achieved the wealth that I have spent, at least $70,000 to $80,000 a year just in personal development for me. And one of the things that is coming up for me is that the majority of my anxiety, because I struggle with anxiety, is because I am unwilling to let my intuition speak up, because my intuition senses something's off, but my anxiety is like, no, don't listen to that. You don't want to know. Right. And so if I could just learn to trust my intuition and not like resist it so hard, things probably would have been easier.
So Julie, I have to share something with you. For as long as I've been doing this podcast, I've been asking that question. That answer has come up multiple times about trusting your gut. I would have trusted myself. I would have believed in myself. I would have trusted my gut. You trusted my instincts. And again, there's something to be said about that, right? So for those who are listening there's something to be said there. If you're kind of thinking about things and everyone's saying, hey, I wish I just kind of trusted my gut or just kind of bet on myself. So I love that. I love that answer. Okay. So if you're at Marketer's Heart, and let's say someone walks up to you and says, I want to do what you do, but I kind of don't have anything going on, but I want to do what you do. How would you reverse engineer very quickly within like a minute? And what kind of advice would you give them if they just came to you and say, hey, I want to do what you do. I want to make that same impact. I want to create courses. I want to coach people. I want to do all these things, but I'm just starting from zero right now. What would you say to that person?
So I would say find a person that you're happy to wake up every day for the rest of your life at 5 a.m. and help them. Figure out who that person is. Once you have that idea, then figure out what their top 5 big problems are, and see if you can solve one of those with your current level of expertise. If you can't, this is where you need to stop and go become an expert in one of those 5 things, because that's where the money's going to be. Assuming you have that expertise, the next thing you're going to do is you are going to basically build one core asset for you to sell. And I usually recommend that it's either done for you work or coaching, because you don't have to actually create courses, and that takes a lot of energy. So you create that asset and then you just show the F up. You just show up, you go to events, you show up on social media, you talk to people, you give value, you engage with as many human beings of this ideal that you can with that one selling asset until you have 1 to 3 to 5 of those people. And that process, if you have the expertise, that process can take 6-9 months, maybe. If you don't have the expertise, it's going to take you a little longer because you need to be able to solve those high level problems for that human that you love so much in order to really make it a sustainable business.
I love that. Wow, guys, if you did not get anything from this podcast at all, hopefully you listen to that, because that is like gold right there. I love that. I love that. So Julie, I can't believe this has gone by so fast. I mean, we could talk all day, and literally one of these days I'm going to drag her back on. We're going to do this again. But for those who are listening and maybe this is the first time they've heard about you, right? But they love what you said and they want to learn more. What is the best way? I mean, of course you have your YouTube channel, which I'll have to tell you guys, you have to watch your videos. You learn a lot, but it's very entertaining. So I have to say that you and Kathy do some very entertaining videos there. But, what's the best way for them to kind of start learning more and what you do and getting your content? What's the best way?
Yeah, well, I have 2 websites. One, funnelgorgeous.com. If you go to funnelgorgeous.com, that is the business that's hosting the Marketer's Heart event. You'll find information there about it. And there's a bunch of free gifts there. If you want to hear more of my content, my writing, juliestoian.com is my personal website, and all my writing is there. And that's spelled JULIESTOIAN.com. Yes, 3 vowels in a row. It is not an American last name. It is Romanian.
Yeah. So again, also she's on Instagram as well. You can follow her on Instagram, of course, and then the YouTube channel. Definitely want to check those out. Very entertaining videos and very informative too. Julie, thank you so much for jumping on. I know you're so busy, and thank you so much for making the time here. And guys, I appreciate you guys listening in. And again, we'll put that competition I talked about, we'll have that in the show notes, but also, we'll have links to all her websites and YouTube channels and all her social media. So Julie, thank you so much for jumping on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Guys, we'll see you guys next time.
All right.